Hello, welcome back to Geek Warning, the podcast from Escape Collective that discusses all things cycling tech. If you're a bit of a geek for the cycling stuff, you're in the right place. I'm Dave Rome, Senior Tech Editor at Escape Collective, and I'm joined by another Senior Tech Editor.
I'm Ronan McLaughlin, and I'm cringing at that intro, Dave. If you enjoy the geek stuff. The geek, I can't even remember what geek bike stuff, something.
It was bad, wasn't it? I should have. This is what happens when I don't write down things into the show notes and then just try to do them off the cuff. Yeah, that was. Let's just all forget about it. No, I won't say that again next week.
Let's just pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, if you're new to the podcast, it can only get better from here. So
we promise it won't get worse.
Well, there's plenty to talk about this week. It actually is a bit quiet on the news front, which is actually nice for a change. And it lets us talk about a few things that have been on our mind. One of which is something about brands perhaps saying screw it to the UCI. And then we've also got a big race coming up this weekend, which is Leadville, the fairly iconic mountain bike race in the US. And with that, we've seen a bit of a buzz of a whole bunch of wildly converted mountain bikes that we've seen in years past, but the trend is continuing. So we're going to talk about that. I've got some thoughts about the compromises in doing such things. Of course, we've got a PSA. We've got just a teeny little bit of news at the end, and we'll wrap up with our Ask a Wrench segment, which is, once again, exclusive to members of Escape Collective. And this week we're joined by Brad Copeland, who, is the head mechanic with Specialized Off-Road Racing as they're about to head into Leadville.
Brad was in the comments of our Instagram post on the news we reported last week about the UCI considering a ban on 32-inch.
I bet he was.
Wheels. Yeah, he was right in there. But I couldn't tell if he was being serious or sarcastic.
That's Brad for you. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Ronan. Well, yeah, I think this is something that's been on your mind, which is, brands potentially not caring or bothering to get UCI approval with new product releases, new bikes, perhaps intentionally not doing it. I think it comes as good timing because, this week we published my review of the 51 Seeker, which is a sort of a road racy style inspired bike, but one notably without a UCI approval sticker. And 51 just claimed that it wasn't really worth the expense for who's going to be buying the bike, and that it's just not really relevant for people that actually purchase their own bicycles. It's an interesting topic. How did this topic pop into your mind?
Yeah, it's been the sort of topic of the summer, hasn't it? These new UCI rules, and it stems from that. But you've said their brands not bothering. I wasn't so much thinking that brands won't bother to get UCI approval. I'm thinking more along the lines of we might well start to see like alternative B-spec options for those who are not bound by UCI regulations or don't participate in UCI sanctioned events, which is probably the vast majority of us. I think it stems from those new rules, and then a conversation I had with one brand who were like, "Oh, we're considering making." I don't want to go into too much detail because it was very much under wraps, but like an alternative version of a component that just, isn't adhering to the UCI rules because there are people buying it probably aren't going to be bound by UCI rules themselves. And so, yeah, like the Seeker is, I was going to say the Seeker is very interesting because it doesn't have UCI frame approval, but I think it's just like makes so much sense. Why would you? Like, for so long, I've just been so confused by why bikes like the Seeker would seek, pardon the pun, UCI frame approval and have a UCI frame approval sticker on them. Because, like, how often are you going to see a bike like that in a UCI sanctioned event? Basically, never, I think. But it just seemed to be like this seal of approval. You've got the UCI logo on there that says this is a good bike in some way, which it in no way does. To be clear, the only thing that the UCI logo confirms is that the bike adheres to the sort of aesthetical and geometry designs that the UCI have decided bikes should look like. There's like they're the only safety thing within the UCI frame approval process is that brands must confirm that they adhere to ISO standards, which any brand you talk to will tell you they need to go way above and beyond ISO standards when they're designing stuff. So the UCI isn't safety testing or impact testing or destructive testing any frames here. They just check that the angles fit what they want them to look like.
Yeah, it fits within the box that they've set out. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting one. Like, I do question how many people look at that UCI sticker and think like it confirms what they're buying is like a performance bike. I think that it's got to be some people that aren't racing still look at that sticker and go, oh yeah, I'm buying a racing product. This is exciting. But I also question, I'm with you. Like, it truly doesn't matter. Like, I would very happily take that 51 Seeker to a local club race it, not say anything. No one's going to check anything. It's just so far away from being like a UCI sanctioned race with someone that's going to check for that it's just not even a consideration. And yeah, I think you could really get all the way up to like even a national level event before I'd even consider starting to think about needing that sticker on a frame.
There's also like, maybe not so much anymore with the updated frame approval rules that were introduced 4 or 5 years ago now, where they like reduced the tube sizing and stuff and allowed brands to do other things. But I'm also pretty sure that, go back a bit further, there will have been, for lack of a better term, endurance bikes that were compromised in terms of the compliance and comfort that they could offer just to get this UCI frame approval badge on the seat tube for a customer who's never going to UCI race it. And okay, there might be UCI Grand Fondos and stuff, but yeah, are they really checking bikes at UCI Grand Fondos? Probably not. Is there a risk at somebody who finishes second to another rider who was on a non-approved frame kicks up a fuss, and so we just have to adhere to the rules? And yeah, that is an argument, but I just think for the vast majority of people who are buying a lot of these bikes, it's never going to matter. And so whatever...
Yeah, and it means nothing, right? It's not going to matter, and the sticker means nothing. Yeah.
And I think that's about to change because, there are, go back 10 years, like we discussed last week with the 32N stuff, the only way to market stuff was to have the pros race it. And so endurance bikes got raced at Paris-Roubaix. And so to race at Paris-Roubaix, they had to be UCI approved. That definitely is a thing. The endurance bikes are no longer raced there. They just race their outright race bikes and aero bikes now. And coupled with that, I think just the entire industry is so sick and tired of the UCI's antics that they're now just going to say, well, you know what? To hell with this thing that doesn't matter anyway. We're going to make bikes that better suit the needs of our customers, and our customers don't care whether they're UCI approved or not. And so here's what you have now. It's not UCI approved, but it's a better bike for you. And alongside that, I believe you're going to have a situation where here is your UCI approved aero bike. But if you don't ride UCI sanctioned events, you can buy this other fork, this other handlebar, and this other seat post that are faster than the UCI allows. But you're not bound by UCI rules, so how about it?
I can only imagine that you're just praying that I bring this up, but what you're talking about is kind of similar to time trial bikes and triathlon bikes, where a lot of brands sell differing products for those two markets. One, triathlon is like free reign and go as wild as you want, and time trial is tick the box and stay within the regulations. And they can be very different products and to very different customers. Is that sort of what you're imagining here?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I think that's an argument for like the UCI's seemingly their biggest fear is that bikes no longer look like bikes. And triathlon, contrary to popular opinion, triathlon does have rules. They're just more lax than the UCI rules are. Yeah. They're more relaxed, or they're not as stringent as the UCI rules are. But the bikes still look like bikes. I think we can accept that coup cycle thing.
Some of them.
All the rest of them still look like bikes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it'll be as extreme as you have on time trial and triathlon setups, but there will just be, especially on like handlebars and stuff like that. I mean, we've talked about it with the S5 I have in for review. That bike, I know we disagree on this, but the more I ride that, the more I think this is a bike that should just come spec to its intended use case, rather than spec to the consumer. But there are other bikes that I think should be, the almost in the opposite direction. It's like, this is not intended for UCI racing. Why should it be bound by UCI regulations?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't want to take us on too much of a tangent, but to your point, if they did spec the S5 as a full-on race bike with a longer stem and more aggressive,
a longer stem's all that's needed. I mean, the wheels and that, you couldn't ask for. They're 64.57. I mean, it literally just the stem length where I'm like, yeah.
So, I mean, if they did that, that might actually end up helping their sales of like the Caledonia, because the customer, would go into the bike shop and the bike shop would say, yeah, look, you're not actually going to fit on an S5 without us changing out the stem, and that's this amount of money. And, but this bike off the shelf is actually right for you. It might change the conversation a little bit. So, and that customer would end up on the bike that's arguably the better option for them. So, but anyway, that was a tangent I'm going to try avoid.
Since we've brought it up again, though, I do have to say that Cervelo are now, to their credit, offering like a free handlebar replacement within 30 days. Yeah. So certainly better than having to just buy a new handlebar. Free
in inverted commas, right? Like there's still going to be
you're going to have to pay a mechanic to swap it, or you're going to have to do it yourself either way. But
Yep. But yeah, I think the whole UCI sticker thing, for me, I kind of look to gravel as kind of the market that has, I guess, been brave enough to not care anymore. And I think perhaps the bike that I was first aware of to do this in a major way was like the original BMC Urs, which is like a mountain bike inspired gravel bike. And at the time, they were quite specific. They're like, we specifically decided along the design path that we were not going to meet UCI approval through wheelbase requirements. We wanted a bike that was more stable, and therefore the bike fell afoul and was too long in its wheelbase for the UCI's drop bar approval. And we just decided that's fine. And for an adventure style bike, it just doesn't matter. And since then, we've seen others follow suit. Like I think Santa Cruz Stigmata is another one that would now fall afoul of that. And there is no UCI sticker on that bike. And for me, that didn't factor into my decision making one little bit. But it's I think gravel perhaps is an example of a market that other elements that maybe road could learn from, and that there perhaps is a category of customer, a very large category of customer, that is happy to overlook that little sticker, realize that they don't need it.
In the case of that Urs and the Stigmata, like the way that argument seems to go on the road side, purely road side of bike design, is, someone somewhere might want to race it in some race, so we need to get it UCI approved. Versus the direction those two brands have gone, which I just think makes more sense. It's just like, make it right for the intended use case. Don't make it right for like the one person who might decide to race this thing in a UCI sanctioned event. I'm second guessing us both here, Dave, because I kind of thought that gravel bikes were turning up on the UCI approved list more so because brands were sort of afraid the UCI might apply the same rules as road bikes, and frames have to comply to be used in UCI sanctioned events, rather than them actually having to apply just yet as per the letter of the rules.
I think that's possible. I think it's probably, in the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty small number of people doing UCI gravel events. But the point I think of with that is that the UCI does have its approved frame list where like cyclocross frames can be used in road races, and I'm thinking maybe it's that, where it's like someone buying, say, a Cervelo Asparo might actually want to do a cyclocross race or even a road race on that bike, and therefore by having the UCI approved sticker, it's like an all-round race bike that someone can race multi-discipline on. So I'm thinking it might be as much of that than it is, just what the UCI does in gravel, because some of these bikes are, pretty handy as all-round weapons.
I mean, we do see now even pro cyclocrossers ride on gravel bikes in cyclocross, and the frame approval rules definitely do apply to cyclocross. So if you want your gravel bike to be a cyclocross bike and you want cyclocross bikes to die, you send your gravel bike to the UCI for approval. Yeah.
So anyway, I think it's an interesting trend. Yeah, I think that 51 Seeker, it was an awesome bike. And it stood out to me that there was no sticker on the on the seat tube, and it was missing from the list, and the brand confirmed as much that we almost purposely didn't want to do it. It's just an expense they didn't feel like they needed to pay for, and therefore pass on throughout the cost of the bikes. And I don't mind it as a trend. I think if it's a company is confident they're not going to be sponsoring a UCI team and putting riders onto products, and that all of their product that is out there is actually paid for by customers. And I do question the value of a UCI sticker on these bikes. So
again, I just think it makes sense on a bike like the Seeker not to bother doing that. What I'm more excited for is the B spec options we might see in future.
Yeah, faster for the people that don't need
just
to have
be faster.
commissioner look over their bike. Yeah. All right. Very interesting.
Just one last point, Dave, before we move on. I know the UCI is just like always just very, very confusing. But I've been trying to figure out while we've been chatting whether or not the frame approval process does apply to, like, say you wanted to race a bike in the UCI Gravel World Championships.
Yeah.
From what I can establish right now, it doesn't.
You're not required to have a UCI approved frame.
You're not required to have a UCI approval. So Keegan Swenson could turn up at UCI Gravel Worlds with the stigmata not approved by the UCI.
Or just do what all the Euro pros do and just bring your road bike, because that's kind of suits the courses.
there are bigger questions about UCI gravel than whether or not you can use a UCI non-approved frames.
Well, speaking of UCI approved frames, I think that's a good segue to Leadville, which doesn't have such regulations controlling it. And
how many 32-inch full suspension drop bar mountain bikes are we going to see this weekend?
It's the race for it. I will think less than 3. But if there were even one of them, I think you'd assume there's 1,000 of them, given the amount of media attention it's sure to bring. So yeah, I'm sure everyone will be talking about it if there is one. I wouldn't be surprised if there is one, because it's a race in Colorado. I know Trek, for example, have been testing a lot of their prototypes, not that far of a drive from there. So I wouldn't be too surprised if some of their test riders might just come out and show it off to the world. But yeah, we've seen the one from BMC at a World Cup. Who knows? Maybe that might appear. This race does tend to attract a lot of media attention, so it's probably not a bad little way to attract some attention for a brand. But dare I say, most of the top athletes won't be on it. What they will be on, though, is seemingly drop handlebars. This is something we saw the likes of Dylan Johnson and Keegan Swenson do last year, or even the year before. But judging by the socials, it seems to be the hot trend. I think I've seen Matt Beers playing with it. Yeah, I mean, we've seen both the power couple of Keegan and Sophia on drop bar mountain bikes. There's quite a few others that I've seen pop up on the socials of full suspension XE bikes with drop bars. I don't doubt it'll be a trend this year, but it's probably worth noting that we're recording this episode very early in the week. The race isn't until later this week, so by the time you're hearing this, I mean, these bikes probably would have been seen, and but right at the time of recording them, we haven't yet seen exactly what the riders will be on. But it does get me thinking, and it's something that I've been staring at. I've got a pretty nice Factor hardtail that I once built up, thinking that the perfect gravel bike for Sydney was a flat bar, like a mountain bike, a light mountain bike hardtail. And I've been looking at it, and I'm going to clean off the dust from it soon, and I'm going to put drop bars on it. And it's something top of my mind, which is if you put drop bars on a modern mountain bike, the reach gets hell of a long. And I think that's something that's these top riders are probably capable of overcoming. A lot of them can ride and handle a flat back riding position for multiple hours and can probably train themselves into that position. But I don't think it's something.
But it's not just that though, is it? Like, it's been able to maintain that position is one thing, but it's also going to like alter, I suspect, pretty substantially, like the balance of the bike and just the handling characteristics of the bike.
Yep, puts a hell of a lot more weight on the front wheel. Yeah, I mean, it does make some. This is actually something I'll be writing about in the future because I've got all the parts now waiting for me to put onto this factor and do some testing of how it changes the handling and the compromises in that. But yeah, I mean, even fitting like a 50 mil stem on some of these modern bikes still will give you a 30 to 40 millimeter increase in your reach once you're in the hood position. So it's pretty wild. So like literally fitting the shortest stem you can is still going to basically increase your reach, but as if you went up 2 frame sizes.
Are there any UCI rules on stems going backwards?
It crossed my mind, put it that way. It's enough of a drastic difference that it crossed my mind. I was like, oh, that's just so, I just can't get my head around that. Just like, yeah.
And this is kind of, without getting too off topic now, but the kind of the annoying thing for me when I see the comments about, oh, gravel is just 1990s mountain bike, and why have suspension on a gravel bike? Why not just use a mountain bike? And
because they're not
very
the same.
Specific to yeah. But like this highlights it to me, and also reminds me of recently I've been turning to gravel to try and get my like motivation to bike ride back after cycling too much in June. I've become more and more convinced that gravel suspension is without doubt the solution. Having not ridden it, I will caveat it with that. Having not actually tried suspension yet.
It's a big caveat.
It's a very big caveat, but like for the motivation for me in going to gravel at the moment is that it's different, it's more fun. But on top of that, it's just like safer. I can ride for 2 hours and like barely meet another vehicle on the road. Because you're mostly on gravel roads, but they're so damn rough. And a lot of them are connected by smooth tarmac. And so yes, a gravel bike is right, but I want suspension. And so, yeah, part of my mind has been thinking, oh, perhaps I get a full suspension mountain bike frame and try that out. But yeah, as you just pointed out, it's not that simple.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest difference for me when I'm looking at that conversation. I think it's in the fit dimensions of the frames right now. And I think realistically, funnily enough, I mean, in that sense, probably 90s mountain bikes are like gravel bikes because they were really short. So if you took a 90s mountain bike now, you probably could put a drop bar on it and actually be quite comfortable with a short stem. A 90s mountain bike was built around a 110, 120 mil stem, and perhaps even with like bar ends to put you even further over the front wheel when you're climbing steep hills. And so in that sense, yeah, if you were to put a shorter stem and a drop handlebar onto one of those older frames, you're probably in the right vicinity. But taking a new mountain bike, which now has like very modern ideas on long front center, elongated reach to be matched with a short stem. Adding 70 mil in the drop handlebar plus the reach of the hoods adds some real complication to making that thing fit. So food for thought for anyone looking to just convert a hardtail mountain bike or a full suspension mountain bike like they see the pros do. I don't think it's as practical as it may seem at first.
There are those drop bar handlebars. Is it Ascent? They do short reach and long reach, but they have like a sweep, a backward sweep on the tops. I don't know off the top of my head what the reach figures are on those, but it sounds like what you're saying is you need, first of all, it's going to be a 2-piece bar and stem because you're going to need the shortest stem you can possibly get, which, they don't typically make in 1-piece setups. But then on top of that, you probably need a handlebar with a really short reach. And I'm thinking if you can find something with a backward sweep also, you're just doing everything you can to undo the added reach built into the frame.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's something I'll be playing with. I mean, right now I'm probably gonna 50 mil stem plus a pretty regular bar. Like I've got a Zip Explore bar that's 70 mil reach, which is on the shorter side amongst most handlebars. And yeah, I guess the width will play into it as well. Like obviously a drop bar of a racing width, like a 38 or 40 mil width is narrower than a mountain bike handlebar. So you gain back some of the effective reach with a narrower handlebar, but it's not quite.
So you're going to go 27s?
I might need to go like 12s in order to gain back the reach. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a project on the list, and yeah, hopefully within the next week I'll put all the parts together. I've even even managed to.
We should have a Top Gear challenge type of thing where we both have to go and like build the bike we think is best suited to, I don't know, Leadville or something. And we've got a year now to do it. And this time next year we take our Franken bikes to the and see.
I don't like this idea purely because no matter how good my tech choices are, it won't overcome the fact that your FCP is probably double mine.
I thought you were going to say that no matter how good your bike is, it will be eclipsed by whatever monstrosity that I come up with.
That doesn't worry me so much. It's more just getting dropped on the first climb.
Yeah, they, regardless of FTP, the chances are whatever I design will break within a mile, and then you're free to go on,
only hope.
take the pace at your leisure, and enjoy your being reliable.
Yep. So anyway, I think it's I'm excited to see what this race brings. I think it's got a history of drop bars on mountain bikes. I mean, this is not at all a recent thing. It's back, it's been done back from the 26-inch wheel days. I remember some of the top riders having done so, and so it's always an exciting race to see from a tech point of view. But speaking of interesting tech, I did get a little hint that we might see some wild takes on suspension. And this is something that follows on what I saw quite a few years ago. I think it was a handful of years ago from athlete Andrew Lesby, Canadian racer, who is one of the Fox suspension development riders.
This was last year, was it not? At Unbound, he had the go ahead.
Oh, was it as recent as that? He had sort of plastic fairings attached to his forks. So the rumor I've heard, and it's not Andrew that I've heard it from, but that there's a few brands playing with that idea of sort of fairings added to mountain bike suspension forks, and that we might see them appear for this race. So get ready for really ugly looking mountain bikes.
The opposite, I say. Get ready for finally good looking bikes. No, I mean, it makes so much sense. Like, there's nothing less aerodynamic. Well, apart from maybe a sphere or something, but like a cylinder is a very unaerodynamic thing. And one way to significantly improve it is just adding any sort of tail or like splitter plate behind it. Yeah. And it just like it does, for the lower portion of it just makes so much sense. And then for the stanchions and that have to be able to, like, obviously the telescopic, you can't have a fixed fairing there. But I've always wondered, is there something you could do around like a 3D printed collapsible fairing that basically as it compresses it can fold inside itself, kind of like a Russian doll sort of effect. But I mean, it's only a matter of time.
I think the future might even see like teardrop shaped stanchions and lowers. So like, the telescoping part would be teardrop shape and error in itself, and I think that creates all sorts of complications as far as what it slides on, because it's no longer just a cylinder. But it's not impossible. Probably damn expensive, but not impossible.
Dare say damn problematic, and damn not durable. I mean, that's we're looking for solutions to a problem rather than trying to fix the problem or eradicate the problem. But I didn't. My mind has gone there before, and I didn't go there just now because I think that is a lot more challenging. In the short term
food for thought. Food for thought on that is Cannondale Lefty, single-sided fork, telescoping, is not cylindrical in the part that slides up and down. It's more. And I mean, like, if you're talking about aero drag from suspension forks, getting rid of one half of the forks is a good way. Yes. So the Lefty's ahead in that regard, but it's also, it shows that you can, in theory, do non-round shapes. I believe, I'm sure a correction corner's coming up, but I think it's a hexagonal shape. But basically it slides on needle bearing, like rows of needle bearings. And so they give it flat surfaces for the needle bearings to slide along, which in turn is also pretty effective at sort of increasing like small bump compliance, because those needle bearings can be made to be quite smooth. So anyway, I think there's perhaps something there that could inspire a new wave of very, very expensive forks designed for racing. But anyway, bikes are expensive enough, so let's not encourage it.
I've got this the listeners might remember back in June, I was talking about maybe it wasn't in the podcast, but anyway, I've got this like huge amount of raw carbon that I accidentally ordered the wrong size in, and turned up late. It was intended for that bikepacking build that I was doing, but it is like the sheet is taller and longer than I am. So I've got a lot of carbon here I could experiment with, and I have been wondering if when I finally get my hands on a suspension fork, if I could do something there.
Did you think you're ordering centimeters and instead you're ordering inches?
I think I just didn't even read what I was ordering. I just ordered a sheet. It's amazing. Like 2 meters squared.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It's a lot.
Enough of many projects. The kids are just going to start receiving like carbon fiber toys, and toilet brush will be a carbon fiber handle soon enough, and
everything is now a mold.
Everything's carbon. Yeah. Amazing. All right. Well, yeah, Leadville's this weekend. Keep an eye out. We've actually got Josh Weinberg that'll be on the ground there, so we will have some coverage coming straight from Josh. And I know he's been speaking with a few athletes to get a real close look at some of the bikes. So certainly keep an eye out on the website for that. All right, Ron. I think it's time for a PSA. I think you've put this one on the list. What is it?
I put it on the list. I'll tell listeners what it is, and then you can explain why. Okay. The PSA is to remember to drain your compressor. No, it's not a question. I'm aware of why it's important and why you need to do it and how to do it, and I do it. But I just feel that you might be better placed to fully explain the benefits of draining your compressor and why you should do it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's firstly, if you don't have a compressor, then I wouldn't worry about draining it. Well,
actually, that's a question. Do you need to worry about whether others have drained their compressor or not? Is there a chance that they could explode while you're standing beside it?
It is legitimately a risk. Yeah. Air compressor. Obviously, they're surprisingly affordable tools, sometimes cheaper than even a floor pump. I think quite a lot of our listeners probably have one or have thought about buying one. And they do, through compressing of the air, they do create condensation that sort of pulls into the tank that gets pressurized. And every air compressor comes with a recommendation or the request that you empty out the collected fluid from your compressor periodically. Some compressors even recommend doing it after every use. That is probably excessive, but they do recommend that you sort of release all the air, and then there's pretty much every compressor will have like a drain plug at the bottom of it that you're meant to undo, and then create a mess of rusty looking water all over your workshop or garage floor in the process, and are therefore reminded that you let it go too long. I think it is a danger. That one of the key reasons why they recommend you do it is most air compressors have a steel tank that gets filled up and with compressed air and kind of becomes like a bomb effectively. And the rusty water staying in that, that water is getting rusty through the steel. It's it comes out looking rusty because it is actually rusting away at that chamber. So I think that's the number one reason to do it is compressors can fail through that, and they can get quite dangerous if they're holding 100 psi and the metal cylinder suddenly fails. That's a bad day. But that's the top reason. The other reason to do it is like you basically end up putting water droplets throughout the air hose, and that goes into like your, if you're inflating tires, it'll go into your gauge, it'll go into your inflator, and it'll also go into your tires. For those that listened to the full episode last week, they probably actually heard in the Ask a Wrench segment, this actually came up in relation to tire sealants, where Silka had recommended to keep a check on this, and that too much water in your compressor line could even change the pH levels of your tubeless sealant, and therefore they'd seen some issues of sort of sealant getting a little goopy as a result of the pH change. So anyway, I think it's there's safety reasons, there's potentially other reasons. I think fundamentally, I would stick with the safety side of things.
What is periodically, Dave?
I think it also depends on your use cases and perhaps even like the humidity of where you store your compressor. I think the more your compressor kicks on and refills, the more moisture will condense in there. If you're the type of person that keeps your compressor empty and only turns it on once a month to do it, or once every 3 months to do a tubeless seating, and then it fills up with air and then you use it, then I think, you probably only need to worry about it very rarely, like every 6 months, every 12 months. If you really want that thing to last forever, maybe just when you do empty it, just take the water out of it each time. For me, I kind of just, I have my compressor filled all the time, and just, whenever I'm in the workshop, I'll turn it on and let it top up as it needs to. And so, for like a busy workshop environment, I'd probably be saying maybe every 4 weeks, 6 weeks would probably be pretty smart to do. And as I say that, I realize I've not done that, so I need to go do mine. But I'm a little bit more relaxed with mine. I've got an aluminium tank compressor, so it's rust is less of an issue. It's more just about avoiding water in my airline.
Yeah, I suggested this as a PSA before we hit record this morning, and you said, "Oh, so you listened to last week's show?" And I actually hadn't. But this has been on my list for suggested PSAs for, I think, well over a year. Yeah, and that also tracks with how often I drain my compressor. So this is a PSA to myself as much as anybody else, and that I know it should be done, but because I've got mine like in a cabinet, even though it's a silenced compressor, they're still not silent. So it's in a cabinet behind like soundproofing and stuff. And it's inconvenient, and I'm lazy, and I do it maybe once a year, and I think I'm all right, but like, how do you know if you're not all right, and how do you know if your compressor's about to kill you?
I would say if when you do it, a whole bunch of real rusty, nasty water flows out with what looks like actual pieces of metal or rusted metal come out, then it might be a sign that your compressor has been compromised and perhaps not worth the chance of keeping that around.
Do you think can a cabinet withstand what's effectively like a nail bomb at that point?
There's only one way to find out, but I think it's I don't know. It does worry me a little bit of the thought. I do think they're typically generally rather overbuilt, but I'd also say if you've emptied out your compressor and the water doesn't look like water and it looks soupy and grainy and all sorts of stuff, then perhaps you do already have a corrosion issue that is not worth playing with.
Like, I only have this one about 3 years, but I know of someone else who has had a compressor, the same one, for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
And didn't know they had to be drained until when I got this one, we were talking about it, and I was like, oh, you have to drain these every month. And they had just never done it.
I wonder what the water looked like. I mean, I think that's pretty common, to be honest. I think that's, I often hear of like old compressors coming with, old automotive workshops that, people have taken over for their grandparents or something like that. And the compressor might be 40, 50 years old. So, as I said, I think these things are pretty overbuilt, but you do also hear of failures. So, best to empty it out when you remember, and just see how gross the water is. And if there's a lot of it and it looks gross, then you probably left it too long.
Is this another toaster? And that if you bought one 50 years ago, it's probably still working, but if you bought one 5 years ago, it's probably broke.
Yes, but I think the difference is that being in a product that is also sold for industrial purposes, you can still get the old one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can still buy the stuff that is built like they used to build them, but I'd say pretty much everyone listening wouldn't own one of those because they're hideously expensive.
So there you go then. They do still build them like they used to build them.
They still build them like they used to build them, but if you buy one from your local hardware store, it's not like that.
Or Amazon.
Yeah. So it's anyway. Yeah, compressors are fun, but I think that's one of the safety aspects of it to be mindful of.
The only comfort I'm telling myself is that mine drains that quickly. There's like a leak. I haven't properly sealed everything, so it drains that quickly. I'm telling myself that it doesn't have time to get corroded.
It probably doesn't. If it's leaking and you have the power turned off, then I'd say the pressure that would make it dangerous is less of a worry.
Oh, yeah, the power's always off. It's only like when it's...
Yeah. So yours is leaking itself safe. But yeah, most I'd say most people's tend to hold the air fairly well. But anyway, remove the moisture from your air compressor once in a while. I think that's a good.
And
good
we should
PSA.
just say before, it is easy to do. As lazy as I am, it's like a 2-minute job. I'm going to do it now as soon as when I say it's recording.
All right, I'm putting it on my to-do list. I'll do it as well. It's overdue. So yeah, maybe we can have maybe we can have a collection battle. See who gets more liquid out of theirs.
Cool. And we promise you, listeners, next week's PSA will not be for ourselves.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, we're getting towards the end of the episode now. There is just one little thing sitting in the tech news corner, and that's a new bike from Standert, the Berlin-based bike company. They've got a new model, which I still can't pronounce. The Keiswerk? How would you say that, Ronan?
Keiswerk?
Yeah. Okay. We'll go with that. Anyway, it's a new sort of price point bike from them. So it's like a do-it-all drop bar bike. It's got some cool features. It's got clearance for 50mm tires. It's got a UDH. It's aluminium. Standard sort of change where they manufacture the frames based on the price point. They've got a few frames out of Italy, a few frames out of Taiwan, and this one is made in China to really hit a low price point. But it actually, to me, it looks like they've chosen all the right things and put the right bolts in the right places and all that. So yeah, anyway, it's interesting. But yeah, it's featuring recycled 6061 T6 aluminium, and yeah, with a full carbon fork on the front. Yeah, it's using a T47 threaded bottom bracket, and it does appear to have the cables going through the headset. So maybe a yay or nay for some of you. But main thing on this one, price point. So complete bikes starting from €2,450 with and that gets you like a Shimano GRX mechanical build. So yeah, I think it's kind of cool to see relatively nice and affordable aluminium bikes still being available. I like it.
Keiswerk.
Did you get that?
I did.
That's
We all got
Google's
that.
attempt, and apparently it translates as gravel factory.
Really? Okay. Well, there you have it.
Or gravel plant, gravel quarry, gravel factory. Yeah. Makes sense.
Corrections corner not required. All right. So affordable alloy bikes. More of that, please, bike industry. All right. Ronan, I think that's it. I think we're there. I think it's time for Ask a Wrench with Brad Copeland. But for members of Escape Collective on the member-only feed, you will soon hear us answer questions related to chasing down noises that only occur under quite high power. We're asked for our suggestions for a drivetrain to match an older mountain bike. And we discussed the concept of lateral chain wear, sort of how to measure for it, why it matters, sort of how it impacts the drivetrain, and also why it's not always practical to actually check for it. So yeah, some good geeky stuff within. But of course, you will need to be a member to keep listening. For those that have made it this far, please leave us a review wherever you're listening to this. If there is the option to leave a review, please do so. It helps other geeky, like-minded cyclists find Geek Warning. And also what helps us is if you tell people about it. Escape Collective is doing well, but we could always use some more friends. So yeah, if you've got some friends that are into cycling tech that will know about the podcast, tell them it's worth listening to.
Tell them it's worth paying for.
Yes, it's worth paying for. Cool. Ask Wrench time. Ronan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Same time next week?
Sounds good.
All right. We'll catch you soon.
This episode was produced, edited, and mixed by Will Jones at Red Bricks Media.